You'll hear argument first this morning in Case 16-1161, Gill versus Whitford.
It's been called the most important Supreme Court case in decades. Likely to shape American politics for years and perhaps decades to come. Some even say this one case, Gill v. Whitford, could save U.S. democracy.
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court.
The named plaintiff?
Crazy guy with beard. I've always had a beard. Maybe I kind of like the idea of being a little crazy, so. Crazy guy with beard.
Bill Whitford is a retired law professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Today, he's stepping back into the classroom to explain why he's taking on one of the most important and overlooked issues in American politics: partisan gerrymandering.
Let me begin. The U.S. Constitution. Justice Kennedy, highly Republican, Democratic vote. I could go on and on about that.
Okay, slow down, Bill. First, what is partisan gerrymandering? Well, it's when a party in power redraws voting district boundaries to solidify their political control. In Wisconsin, that's the Republican Party. In 2010, the GOP took full control of Wisconsin's government. The next year, they redrew district boundaries across the state. And in the next election, while they only won 47% of the vote, Republicans came away with 60 of the 99 seats in the Assembly. In every election since, Wisconsinites have seen similar discrepancies between what they voted for and what they got. Whitford is challenging those district boundaries.
It's not a democracy. The general election doesn't matter. The only voters that matter are the ones that can control the outcome of Republican primaries.
Through partisan gerrymandering, you can get a legislature that simply doesn't reflect in any way the preferences of voters. And that legislature then starts passing laws that also don't reflect what voters want.
Since Republicans took office in Wisconsin, they've passed strict voter ID laws, cracked down on unions and collective bargaining, and reduced environmental regulations.
Wisconsin is a closely divided purple state, but because of partisan gerrymandering, Wisconsin has a highly Republican, highly conservative state legislature, which is passing highly conservative, highly Republican laws.
And this isn't just a Wisconsin problem. Partisan gerrymandering is happening across the country, with both Democrat and Republican legislatures. But the GOP is the main offender. A new report from the Brennan Center finds that Republicans control 16 to 17 additional congressional seats, largely due to gerrymandering. Democrats only need 24 seats to regain control of the House.
A lot of the laws, a lot of the bills that are being passed by the U.S. House would not be passed if we didn't have partisan gerrymandering.
In Wisconsin, Whitford gathered with fellow Democrats to fight the state's new district borders.
So in 2013, this is the timeline, some Democratic activists begin meeting at a place called the Watts Tea Room, which doesn't exist anymore. You can ask questions about it if you want to know it. It was a quaint place. And the question is really, what can we do?
In 2004, Justice Anthony Kennedy opened the door to a case like Whitford. Some redistricting plans could be too partisan, he wrote, and the courts could step in to say so. But how would a court know when a plan went too far? Kennedy was looking for what he called a workable standard. For his case to stand a chance, Whitford needed to find that standard. So he reached out to some legal friends.
One of them sent me a draft article, a professional article, to be published in the Law Review, by a young law professor at the University of Chicago, whose name was Nicholas Stephanopoulos.
Bill did just cold call me one afternoon.
There is a certain kind of ability for one law professor to call another. And I said, we're meeting and we're just wondering.
And I was really happy to hear from Bill.
The meeting itself, we kind of knew they were interested.
I went up to Milwaukee.
They probably knew that we'd be glad to have them because what else we were going to do? We needed free lawyers.
And that's sort of the backstory to how the lawsuit began.
This paper, co-written by Stephanopoulos and political scientist Eric McGee, introduced a concept called the efficiency gap.
The efficiency gap is a statistical measure of partisan gerrymandering that's derived from these concepts of cracking and packing.
Politicians gerrymander in two ways. One, they spread out their opponents' votes across districts. That's called cracking. Or two, they pack a huge number of their opponents' votes into a few supermajority districts. That's called packing. Both cracking and packing produce what social scientists call wasted votes. These are the votes that don't help someone win an election. Cracking wastes votes by giving more support to losing candidates, because every vote for a losing candidate is a wasted vote. And packing wastes votes because every vote above 50% plus one is also wasted.
So the efficiency gap is just calculated by taking all of one side's wasted votes, subtracting from that total all of the other side's wasted votes, and then dividing that number by the total number of votes that were cast in the election. And so it tells you in a single number which party is benefiting overall from all of the cracking and packing in a map, and how big that party's advantage is. On its face, it seems to be precisely what Kennedy was thinking about in the 2004 case.
In the three elections in question, Wisconsin had pro-Republican efficiency gaps of 13%, 10%, and 11%.
Those are enormous scores. So basically, once you're in double digits, you're really at the tails of the historical distribution.
The efficiency gap became the intellectual foundation for Whitford's case. In 2016, they won in federal district court. The state appealed. In October, they argued before the U.S. Supreme Court.
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court, what the state is asking for here is a free pass to continue using an assembly map that is so extreme that it effectively nullifies democracy.
This started with a group of people looking for a solution to a problem, looking to law as about as good a solution as we're going to get. It's kind of the way law is romanticized as having supposed to work. In this case, maybe it'll work. We'll see. Questions?
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.